Good afternoon, Minu. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. And you?
I'm good, thanks. Minu,
So
it's
that's
Warwick, by the way.
Warwick.
Just yes, it is.
Yeah, nice to hear from you.
Uh, okay,
I did.
Minu. Just so you know, we are live.
Yeah,
We do have 12 students with us. So
wonderful.
anything work related, yeah, I'll chat to you about that another time.
Sure.
Okay. All right, Minu, I know Branch is the MC, but I'm also just letting you know and to our attendees on our live session. The GEO101 YouTube stream is now live on your ECI page. So if anyone can't attend, please can you just ask them, or if they can't attend on Zoom, just tell them to click on the YouTube link and they can still ask questions in there and I'll direct them to the lecturers.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Is it quite hot there today, Minu? Up there in Gauteng?
It's getting cold, hey? It's
Is
getting
it?
cold. Yes.
Well, seeing as we're in a geography lecture, did you see the recent news this weekend? They're expecting from the cold front that we're getting that they're expecting a lot of snow across South Africa.
Yes. I did receive mail from Sector which says that we'll be having a snowstorm soon.
Yeah, so they're talking about a lot of the interior of the Western Cape and quite a high area of the Southern Berg, I believe.
Oh, okay. Oh, so Middleburg and okay, fine.
Yeah, so it's going to be it's going to be quite interesting to see. I believe our temperature for Durban on Monday might only hit the high of 20.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
And for Durban, I know some of our Durbanites that are attending currently will state there that's the coldest that they've been in a while.
I'm sure that must be the coldest one they can ever have, hey?
I think the coldest I've been in Durban, I'm talking about real feel here more than proper air temperature. I'll probably say is the real feel at 17 for Durban, which is cold for
Oh,
Durban at least.
okay. But this is a bit surprising that from here to Pretoria, there is a 2-degree temperature difference. Like whenever I go decked up from here, that side it's a bit warmer in Pretoria.
Serious.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I see we're still waiting for Brant, or are you running today's session?
No, it's Brand's turn.
Okay. All right. And then Sam, is he going to be joining us?
I did drop a message for him to join.
Okay.
Uh,
Minu,
yeah,
I'm just going to mute myself quickly, just find out if where Brant is.
sure.
All right. To all our attendees, just please bear with us whilst we find Mr. Collins.
Would you mind if I talk to them for a minute?
Minu, the floor is yours. Go for it.
Okay, 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 great. Okay, thank you. Very good afternoon to all of you. I am Meenu Ahuja. I've been taking geography at Montana campus of Emory. I'm sure Mr. Brandt Collin will join us soon. But meanwhile, I mean, you can go through ECI as you'll be preparing for your test on which is due on Wednesday. And if you have any questions regarding that, you can prepare yourself for that. I'm glad more and more students are there and they're joining.
Okay. Minu, we're just waiting on Brant. I've just had a chat with him. He is on his way to the session now.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Welcome, Brant.
Good day, Brandt.
Okay, Brant. Okay, your audio is now connected.
Thank you.
All right, Brant, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to also now mute myself, but if you need anything, please just let me know.
I just want to chat to you quickly. How many attendees do we have?
Currently, if you have a look and you click on participants,
yeah,
right, you will see the option for attendees. You will see we're at 25, but I see we got 2 helping hand anti-bullying campaign people. I don't know if that was what you were talking to the students about, Minu, or if it's just somebody who's helping out with anti-bullying. If that is the case, good for you guys. I appreciate that.
well, that's news to my ears. But yeah, I'm glad they have an interest in geography. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, Bront, I'm going to mute myself. Just quickly, we have 2 people watching on YouTube. If they ask any questions on there, I'll be sure to direct them to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Right, guys, just give me 1 minute. Okay, excellent. Right, students, thank you for joining us. As you know, this will be your weekly geography lecture in the exact same time slot every week. Next week, it'll be Samuel Satuku, the lecturer from Waterfall, that'll be taking you for your GEO 101 lecture. Okay, so the purpose of this lecture today will be to get everybody across all 3 campuses to the same point. The main focus is going to be on preparing for the online mapwork test, which is now scheduled for next week, Wednesday, opening up at 6 p.m. Once again, you'll have a 24-hour window in which to complete the test, but only an hour and 15 minutes. So just remember, after 1 hour and 15 minutes, you'll be timed out, and that's your mark will be taken from how much you have completed. Okay, so this lecture is really going to center around getting you prepared for that test. This is an ideal opportunity for anybody that's unsure of anything to ask questions, but I am going to ask you to please let the lecture continue till the end. Any questions that you may have, take note of, and rather ask them at the end so it doesn't break the momentum of our lecture. Okay, so if you've tuned in, ready to revise map work, you've done the right thing. So to start off with, I just want to go through all the remaining assessments, just so that we're all at exactly the same understanding on assessments after the huge break that we've had and after the disruption to our academic timetable. As you know, our assessments have changed. This is no longer an examination module. It has now become a CAS module, which means the exam in June has been taken out and we have put in 2 more assessments. Okay, so please have a pen in your hand and a piece of paper. I want you to engage with this lecture. I don't want you to just sit there, stare at the computer blankly. I want you to write information down because that'll get your thoughts going. And that'll probably allow you to ask some questions as well. So, pen in your hand and let's go, please. Firstly, I want you to write down assessment, online mapwork test. As I've told you before, and I've told you right from the beginning, we will be using our official mapwork textbook, the Oxford in Search of Successful Mapwork, grades 10 to 12, as the source for the maps in the test. Guys, this book is part of your academic material. It's been part of your academic material since day 1. There is no excuse for not having the textbook. You've also known now for 3 weeks that, for a little bit longer than that actually, that the topographic map and the orthophoto map would come from that source. So that's one of the reasons for postponing the test. You have until next week, Wednesday, to ensure that you find your mapwork textbook. Now, the pages, in other words, the topographic map, will be the map of Johannesburg on page 65. And the topographic, sorry, that's the topographic map. and the author photo map of Johannesburg on page 66. Please write that down. So we'll be using the topographic map of Johannesburg, page 65 of Oxford in Search of Successful Map Work. I'm sure you're all very familiar with this book by now. We'll be using the author photo on page 66. And then the other page, which will come in handy prior to the test that you can go over, would be the reference list that contains all the symbols used in topographic maps, and that you'll find on page 66. Sorry, that's page 82. So topographic map 65, author photo 66, reference list page 82.
Sorry, Brant, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we have a student, Sue, who's raised her hand. Can I allow her to ask the question to you?
I did ask that students refrain from asking questions until the end.
Okay.
Can you see the nature of the question?
I don't. She's Sue, just drop me a message if you are able to wait until the very end. I'm just going to lower your hand for now, and then we'll try again at the end of the session. Okay,
Thanks. That's why I stated at the beginning, if students would just engage with the material, write down their questions, and then ask me the questions at the end, it would be it would break down, it would allow the lecture to at least have some momentum. So guys, perhaps I will break in 15-minute slots and then ask you to ask those questions in case you forget. Okay, so you have the page numbers. I am going to go over the test content a little bit later in detail. So if for whatever reason you may not have the textbook, you could make copies, color copies of those pages, but I would advise against that. The textbook is part of your academic material. Everybody should have it, guys. There are really no acceptable excuses for not having it. If you do decide to make a photocopy, you need to make sure that it is the exact same size. So yeah, that would be for you to sort out. Then secondly, we have an essay. The essay is due on the 5th of June. The essay topic was set by Mr. Samuel Satuku, and it is on settlement, and it deals with the beginning of settlement. So next week's live lecture will focus almost exclusively on settlement. Our thinking was that for this week, we postpone the test and we revise map work, because I know there are some people that are nervous about map work. Okay, the essay topic will be placed on ECI at the end of this lecture. The settlement section will be opened, so it'll give you some time to read over settlement before next week's lecture. Yeah, sorry, something popped up on the screen there. So yeah, so you will have time to read through the content of it. The focus of this week is on map work preparation. That's it. You will be writing a quiz. So your quiz is due on the 12th of June. Please write that down. Now the quiz will be the final assessment. It'll be very similar to the theory test and will contain questions, similar questions to the theory test and from the map work test and anything that we cover on settlement. So guys, it's not that difficult. Those are the three remaining assessments: an online map work test, an essay, and a quiz. We only have one more unit to do. That's unit 3, settlement. So let's get busy with the map work revision. I think it's a good time to ask some questions. Warwick, could you assist us there, please?
Brant, the question from Sue was, she's asked if you can please put your presentation into your PowerPoint into presentation mode. And that was me. Sorry?
I can't do that because then the icons will play, the audio clips will play.
Okay, Sue, hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
Right. Brant, there are no other questions around at the moment.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sorry, I can see one question. This one says, could you please advise on the structure of the map work test?
Excellent. Thank you, Minu, so much for picking that up. That's exactly what we're going to do now. So Minu and Sam, thanks for being the eyes there. I really appreciate that. And Minu and Sam, if there's anything you'd like to add as well, please feel free to add anything as we go along. So the structure of the map work test in terms of answering it, MCQ questions. Doesn't get much easier. So you will have to do, we are going to go through all of the topics that will be covered. So I'll give you some guidance there as well. But you'll have 4 answers. One of those will be the correct ones, but they will be very similar. So you will have to do the calculations to get it right. So I hope that assists. The structure is MCQ questions. However, you will have to do the calculations and you'll have to do them accurately in order to get the right answer. There will be some theoretical questions pertaining to latitude and longitude. And as in any map work test, there will be some integration of map work and theory. But the main purpose, guys, is to see that you can do the calculations. So let's go through each of the topics and I'll give you some tips and some clues that should make it easier for you. Okay, so as it says on the page that's in front of us, number 1, general information pertaining to topographic maps. And I've even given you the page numbers, pages 12 and 14 of Oxford et al. So, general information pertaining to topographic maps. Every topographic map actually tells you which map projection is used. If you don't know the answer to that now, you haven't looked at the information on topographic map properly. And you haven't been concentrating or read your notes. It's the Gauss conform model. So every topographic map tells you actually which map projection it uses, and they all use the Gauss conform model. So it's an easy one for you. Other general information, guys, you know that the scale on a topographic map is 1:50,000. That's never going to change. We only look at that series. And as with the orthophotos, we only look at the 1:10,000 series. So for the 1:50,000 topographic map, 1 centimeter is equal to 0.5 kilometers. So if you cannot do metric, if you don't know the metric system and you can't work that out, if you can't work out how many centimeters in a kilometer, there it is. On a topographic map, 1 centimeter equals 0.5 kilometers at a scale of 1:50,000. Now that makes distance calculations relatively easy. You just find the 2 points using your reference list. You measure exactly in centimeters. Make sure that you get right over the mapwork textbook and make sure, and make sure that you get, make sure that you get right over it so that your calculations are accurate to the exact millimeter. Remember that there will always be a 2 millimeter variation on either side of the right answer. So there will be some leeway allowed on the exact right answer. Okay, other general information pertaining to topographic maps. Every topographic map tells you the magnetic declination. Although that is a bit of an extra information, I don't think we will have any questions on magnetic declination. And don't forget, every topographic map contains the symbols that you need to know. If you don't know what the symbols are, please go back to page 82. Also remember that the distance questions may ask you to calculate distance in meters. So if the question specifies meters, you're not going to be measuring that line and multiplying by centimeters. You're going to, sorry, by 0.5, you're going to be multiplying by 500 meters. So, very important. Please make note that you read the questions carefully in the online MapWork test. If you skim reading it and you expect, and this happens all the time, I've seen it happen countless times, you are perhaps in a rush or in a panic and you automatically presume that the distance calculations are going to be in kilometers, and you've got a good chance of getting it wrong, so, or getting confused. So just remember, read, unpack the question correctly. Okay, so then general information pertaining to orthophoto maps. As I said to you just now, the scale is always going to be 1:10,000. What is an orthophoto map? It's a combination between a map and a vertical aerial photograph. So other than the scale always being 1:10,000, it will contain contour lines, and it will contain labels and other symbols. So if the scale is 1:10,000, how many kilometers will 1 centimeter be equal to on an orthophoto map at a scale of 1:10,000? Correct, 0.1 kilometers. Remember, that means it's 100 meters. So 1 centimeter on a topographic map is equal to 0.1 kilometers or 100 meters. There will be distance calculations using the orthophoto map. And people often make that mistake by switching the scales around or just getting confused at the time and just multiplying by 0.5, when in fact they should have been using the scale of the orthophoto map. So, common mistake, don't be the one that, there will be, somebody's going to make the mistake, don't let it be you. Okay. At this point, guys, I think as I go through each of these, it would be advisable to, if you have any questions, perhaps to ask the questions as we go through these sections to be tested. So if you have any questions, guys, fire away, please. Any questions so far on topics or on skills 1 and 2 that will be testable? What you could do is also, if you have your textbook in front of you, I would say it would be advisable to, as we go through this, to look at the page numbers and see if you have any queries when you open that textbook and see what's actually in there. So as you go through this, have your Oxford MapBook textbook open, and perhaps that will prompt some thought, and you'll ask some questions. Okay, map interpretation, as it says on pages 44 and then 30 to 37, there will be some questions on map interpretation. We know that we haven't covered this section in great detail. So MapWork section really pertains, sorry, map interpretation pertains to common sense. What I mean by that is you need to look at the different symbols used and the colors, and then ask questions based on that. So you need to know what cultivated land looks like. And you need to be able to recognize a built environment, so the gray area that is an urban area. You need to be able to recognize a river, the blue lines, or perennial water or non-perennial water, the blue solid or intermittent lines. So guys, that reference list on page 82 really becomes the secret to unlocking anything on map interpretation. As I said, it comes down to common sense. So typical questions could be, there is a large body of perennial water that runs from north to south through the mapped territory. Is this a perennial or a non-perennial source of water? And how do you know this? Then there could be a question at label A, you need to identify a particular type of land use that takes place at label A. So you'd find label A on your topographic map or your orthophoto map or whatever the symbol is that the question directs you to. And you would look at the map and see what is underneath that symbol or close to that region. And you'd cross-reference that to page 82. And then you'd say, there it is. The land use is whatever. It could be a built environment. It could be agricultural land. It could be a feature like a row of trees. So guys, it comes down to common sense and understanding your reference list, page 82. There won't be any really difficult questions there. And don't forget, as lecturers, we're quite aware that people are nervous for the test. It's also the first online MapWork test we've done. And we're also aware that this disease took away our lecture time. So don't panic about the test. The questions are straightforward. And I think the overwhelming majority of you are going to be happy after the test. You still obviously need to put in some work, and you need to, the difficult part of the test, I think, is going to be the time. And that we cannot really do much about. You need to know the concepts, and it's an assessment. It's an official one. You will be stretched for time. That's the way it goes. And the same thing will happen again in the quiz. And if there was an exam, I can tell you, it would have been even worse. So next concept. I think I saw some questions there. Any disappeared? Next topic.
Grant, yes, there are 2 questions here.
Yeah.
First one from Anonymous. Will we have to answer questions that will link an area on the orthophoto map to an area on the topographical map?
Yes, because that's really what MapWork comes down to. So remember, it's identifying land use and identifying features. So one of the skills of MapWork is to line up your orthophoto with your topographic map. So yes, if it pertains to it, I would say definitely expect a question that asks you to do that. Has that answered that person's question well enough? They can elaborate on their question if they like.
I've just sent them a message to ask if that answered their question. The second question is from Anonymous as well. I don't know if it's the same Anonymous, but will we need to know how to do a cross-section? Will you be able to show us how to do it during a lecture?
Cross-sections, we don't need to know. Very good question. Cross-sections are quite difficult. Cross-section, really, your brain has to get into cross-section mode because you're looking at a side view and it needs to be accurate. So a cross-section actually needs to be plotted by using point A and B on a topographic map and then gathering your data using a section line and then putting that at the bottom of your actual cross-section and drawing the profile. That needs to be lectured. Yes, it is in the notes, it is in the textbook, and for some people it'll be very easy. And for anybody who did geography at high school, grade 12, it should be simple. People do forget, and some of you didn't do geography at high school, and it's not a prerequisite for the module, so we understand that. Therefore, we have not included it.
Okay, great. Whilst you were talking, another question has come through. For those who don't possess the MapWork textbook due to unforeseen circumstances and are still unable to access a copy of the book due to lockdown situation, what will be the next possibility to assist us for the test?
I've got to be dead honest, not a great excuse at all. I mean, that is, as I said in the beginning, that's academic material we should have had since day one.
Okay.
I'm going to elaborate on that one, and that person, I'll answer it more specifically, but I mean, guys, you registered students. You've paid the money to register. You should be doing this properly. You should have your academic material. We are 6 months. whatever it is, sorry, 4 months into the module. There is no excuse not to have academic material by this stage. And you've had warning on it. So if you didn't have one, I mean, some students have come to me to borrow books and I've been able to lend them. They preempted this. They knew that they had a problem and they dealt with it earlier. Waiting till this stage of the game generally indicates to me somebody that hasn't quite got a grip on their studies. Now, there could be an outlandish excuse like your home was robbed and your bag got stolen. That kind of thing I'd have to escalate that to the HOD. You'd have to probably go to a police station and get an affidavit saying that, stating exactly that. But guys, do yourselves a favor, find the book or try and print a copy of it. Failing to do any of that, you need to put an official email to me as the module coordinator stating specifically the reasons why you may not have that textbook. And I can't guarantee that anything can be done about it. And chances are, I don't think it will. It's part of your academic material, guys. Thank you.
All right, Brant, I'm just going to read this one last question, and then what I'll suggest is we hold the questions off till a little bit further because there's only 10 minutes left of the session.
Thank you.
Right. The last question is, will we have to do calculations on a computer, or will we just have to do its page and submit the answer? Sorry, I'm not quite understanding that question. I'm reading it verbatim. Yeah. So I'm assuming will we have to do the calculations on a computer, or will we have to do it on a piece of paper and submit the answer?
Guys, your calculations are done on your calculator. And your calculator is going to be right next to you, as with all your mapwork equipment, your protractor, your 30-centimeter transparent ruler, your mapwork textbook. So when you answer this test, it's going to be exactly like you're sitting now. Your mapwork textbook will be here. All your equipment will be out. You'll be doing your calculations on all the scrap paper that you need. And then you'll be looking at the question and you'll see, there's 4 answers. Is it A, B, C, or D? And you click radio button A if you believe that that's the most accurate answer. It's as easy as that. Honestly, easiest geography test, I think that we've had, because even if you haven't learned whatsoever, you've still got a random shot at a 1 in 25% at getting it right. So that's just the nature of how we have to do this assessment because of what's happened. And it should work out in your favor. So good luck for the test. Any more questions?
Brant, that's the questions for now. If anything else comes up, I will ask towards the end of the session.
Warwick, thank you so much for the excellent facilitating you're doing there. I really appreciate it. Sam, is there anything you want to add at this point? If there is, Sam.
Yes, Brand, I think you have covered almost all the information that the students need to know.
Yeah.
And you have also explained at length how the online test is going to unfold and all the areas that they have to look at. So I think everyone has got a good chance and a good shot on the online test. And what I should just encourage the students to do is to prepare beforehand. These are skills and you need to practice the skills. You're not going to be able to have time to look at the book and start to study calculations in the midst of the exam, because I should encourage everyone to use their time very well, because I'm sure if you want to start doing calculations, you're going to, especially calculations that you are not sure of, you're going to lose a lot of time, and then you won't be able to finish. Yeah.
Very good point, Sam. Yeah, so I'll keep on going through the list here. We'll finish it in time, and I'll give you more guidance on exactly which calculations. Mina, is there anything you want to say at this point to the students?
Yeah, sure, Brant. I'll take my turn. Like Brant and Sam are saying, you need to do thorough practice of your calculations. And we have got lots of stuff on ECI, which is done by Mr. Brant Collin. We have got few topographic sheets also, where you can have a very good practice. And likewise, I'm sure we can put for the topographic sheets of Johannesburg also on ECI, which will be of great help so that you can have your test at least.
We can't do that. Told you earlier, we can't do that because it won't come out accurately. So they need the MapWork textbook in which to answer those questions.
Oh, okay.
I did say, I told you that earlier, but yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. So yeah, as both those lectures concluded, guys, you need to put in some effort. So let's carry on. I can try and make that a little bit easier for you by just trimming maybe a little bit of that learning. Let's go for it. Map projections. Guys, don't go and learn the PDF on map projections. You're going to be wasting your time. Read over it once. There could be about 3 questions on, or maybe 2 marks on map projections. Don't waste your time trying to learn that. Map referencing, important. Latitude, first 2 numbers, latitude, longitude, big block, small block. There will be at least 3 or 4 questions on map referencing. So, best way to do this, once you get the question, whatever it states, it'll give you the map reference code. It may not be the map reference code even of that map of Johannesburg, but start by placing it into the block of 16. So the grid of 16 blocks. So draw your grid of 16 little blocks, big block A, B, C, D, and then locate that map inside it, and then work out, it'll be easier then to work out what would be the map code of the block to the north, whatever it is, east, south, or west. Okay, so map referencing, at least 4. Direction, at least 3. Know your 16 cardinal points. And true bearing, at least 4. Don't panic, you've got a 2-degree leeway of either side of the most correct answer. So when it comes to true bearing, remember you're calculating that angle clockwise from north, which is 0 degrees. Once again, you've got to get up and over. The best tip I can give you today is that when you do this test, don't do your map work calculations and read your measurements off your instruments like this at an oblique angle. Get directly over. I promise you now, it will make a difference. Okay, so true bearing, at least 3 or 4. Scale, yeah, that's where the more theoretical component could come in. And so different types of way the scale can be predicted, writing different types of scales and words, etc. Distance, at least 3 or 4 distance calculations using the orthophoto and the topographic map. Could be kilometers, could be meters. Okay, area, there will be one area calculation. Please know the formula, and it will be a regular shape. And please ensure that you convert so you do 2 distance calculations first, and you convert that to kilometers, and then you multiply the 2 kilometers to get your kilometers squared. Okay, coordinates, you're going to be happy. There will be no coordinate questions that ask you to give the exact coordinates to the degrees, minutes, and seconds. I think it would be unfair to do that to you guys because we haven't covered it in great detail. And that's something else really that needs the physical aspect of lecturing, that practical side of lecturing that can only be transferred in a lecture environment. There are some of you that can do it. Obviously, there's probably many. If you did geography at matric, it should be easy. So there will be questions on coordinates, but they won't be to the exact seconds. It'll be to degrees and minutes. Okay, so don't bother trying to calculate seconds accurately. You won't have to do it. Theoretical understanding of GIS, there's not a lot we're going to ask you there at all. In fact, I'm going to say leave that out. Leave it out completely, won't be in. That hopefully streamlines your learning a little bit. Guys, are there any questions?
Brant, there are two questions here.
Excellent. Thank you.
The first one's from Kaletso. I apologize if I have mispronounced your name. So should we also expect a magnetic declination question?
No. No.
Okay.
No, we didn't have time to cover it. I know I didn't cover it in any great detail with my group, so I think it would be unfair. And I know, Sam, did you cover it to any detail, magnetic declination?
Sam, your audio, please. You're on mute.
I just highlighted, but I did not cover it
Yeah.
to prepare the students for the exam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it won't be fair for us to set a question on that.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and magnetic declination and really is integral to true bearing. And true bearing is not a concept that we actually do in GEO101 because you don't have to teach it as a mapwork skill in grades 4 to 6. So it's not going to be in. The next question, please.
Okay. The last question for this session. All right.
Yeah.
So the test is going to be based on the Johannesburg map, right?
Correct.
Okay. Excellent.
So
Right.
guys, what that means is you should now be feverishly rushing to your mapwork textbooks and making sure that you've got it and opening up to the map of Johannesburg and the author photo map behind it, and especially the reference list on page 82, and just familiarizing yourself with the map. So when you get to the test at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, you know exactly which map you're using, and you're calm, and you've got all your right equipment, and you're ready to ace it. Any more questions, guys? This is your last opportunity.
Brant, unfortunately, I need to start ending the session now because I need to move into my last session for the day. All right, so Brant, I'm going to start sharing my screen here just so that people know that we're coming to the end. All right. And yeah, if you guys want to wrap it up, and then I'll end the session as per normal.
Okay. Guys, thank you for attending. Thank you, Samuel and Minu as well, and all the students that attended. I really think that little bit of effort will stand in your favor. Sam, is there anything you wanted to say to end off?
Good luck.
Yeah.
There will be an answer for every question. There will be a correct answer, one correct answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, hopefully you are prepared, and hopefully you don't have to take a guess at it. And just remember that they will be quite similar. So yeah, you need to have those practical skills ready. It won't be that difficult though. Thanks, Sam. And yeah, from my side as well, good luck.
Okay.
Good luck.
Brant,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is for you or if this is for Sam.
Okay.
We miss you, sir. And that's from Anonymous.
Probably from Sam. I'm a grumpy leg probably for Sam or Minu because I would say sir.
Sir, yes.
Definitely not me.
I think it's for Brand. It's for Brand.
All right.
Take it, Brand, take it.
Okay.
Because
right.
we actually miss you too, by the way. And that is the truth. It's very much lecturing is, that's one thing I've realized. I enjoy the physical aspect of it. Yeah.
Right.
Best way to teach. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks. You too, Warwick. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
Bye.